made by the Omaha Police Officers Association.
This comes after a homicide early Sunday morning. The victim was found on the ground next to Los-Diablos Motorcycle Club. On social media, the Police Officers Association says the club is a magnet for violence. The club operated near 30th and Ames since 1957 and has 7 chapters, including one in Lincoln. Danny Robinson is the national president of Los-Diablos. He says gun violence has become a problem in the community and it needs to stop.
Tammy Tony was outside the club when the shooting happened. She says the Omaha Police Association is putting the wrong people in a negative light.
I think people need to stop trying to follow the street code, and if you see something, say something. That's the only way I see a change for the community, is if we hold these thugs and bums accountable for their actions, period.
The club owner also told 6 News the victim, Alexander Whitcomb, came to the club for protection after he was shot.
Now, the homicide is also spurring calls to shut down the club.
Our Bella Caracta sat down with Omaha Police. She joins us live in the newsroom with what they think needs to be done.
John, Aaron, in data obtained by 6 News, first responders have been dispatched to this motorcycle club more than 200 times since 2019. Omaha police believe that number is likely an underestimate, since it doesn't include instances of first responders being sent to the hospital for calls related to that address. Of the calls, here's what we found. 5 were for fights, 11 are shooting related, 10 for crowds, 18 for noise, and 19 are labeled as a disturbance. The numbers we received from the dispatch, Douglas County Dispatch, are up to date through September 21st. They do not include the latest response to the club, when police say hundreds of people were seen running from the club early Sunday morning after the shooting. Captain Keith Williamson tells me he hopes the city prosecutor presses charges for violating the newly passed nuisance ordinance.
They need to be held accountable for the element that they draw there during the time they draw, which terrorizes the neighborhood of people that live there. And that's not being responsible, that's not being a good neighbor, and it's not being concerned for your community.
I reached out to the city prosecutor, Kevin Slimp. He said the investigation is still ongoing regarding the homicide, so he cannot comment on if he plans to press charges for the motorcycle club. But I did learn that since that city council passed that nuisance ordinance in February of this year, they have not prosecuted anyone for violating the ordinance. Now tonight at 10, I'll have how City Councilwoman Juanita Johnson, who represents the district, is responding. On your side in the newsroom, Bella Caracta, 6 News.